On this episode of the i2i Forum podcast, we're meeting with Anthony Lindsay, entrepreneur, employee, father, mentor. He's also an expert at networking. In this episode, we're going to find out more about how to evaluate networking groups, how to build a powerful networking presence, both online and offline, and much more. So let's go eye to eye with Anthony Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Anthony Lindsay, and I am a business owner, employee, entrepreneur, author, and father. I support people with getting their business up and running, and I do it in a practical way. So my thing is about making everything approachable so that people can implement the learning immediately.
Okay, thank you. So with that said, there's a bunch of stuff in there when you have all these titles. A lot of people are throwing stuff like that into like their LinkedIn. I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. But there was something that I noticed behind you that I can't fully see, but it's one of those statements. It's like, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man. Where did you
Yeah.
get that from?
Yeah, so that's a Jay-Z quote, and I think on so many levels it resonates with me because it is about the new thing that people are just starting to realize that it's not just about running a business. One of the best things you can do is actually be the business, be the brand, build a tribe, so that anything you do, you have people that resonate with you and share your values that you can talk to them about that thing, share information with them, rather than just being a product of the logo that's currently on your business card, and all of the value being that rather than you bringing value to an entity.
So there was something that was kind of also that I'm drawing out from that because people talk about being an entrepreneur and they have this like inflated view of what it is, especially in the market where I work. There's a number of people that they're contractors, they're consultants, and they set up a limited company. And so many of them, it's like they're not really taking full advantage of that limited company to recognize that they are a business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
from your perspective, where does the entrepreneurial part, is there an entrepreneurial part that maybe people could maybe make more of out of having their limited company?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things in what you said. I think first and foremost, you have to be an entrepreneur. So I think there's a big emphasis on entrepreneurism, and it's become romanticized because before entrepreneur was just somebody with a job, without a job, with an idea, and now we've made it into this thing that it's this really exciting thing. And I just think most people shouldn't be entrepreneurs. I think more people should be looking to be great employees, but if you do feel that you're going to be a business owner, you should do it the right way and you should be doing it for the right reasons. And if you get to the stage where you have a limited company or corporation, whatever your business format, it should be something that you're leveraging. So you should understand why you're starting that limited company. You should have the right things in place to ensure that you actually have a company, rather than a job that you own, which is what most people tend to have. They just have a job that they own because they claim they had bad employers. They claim that they had bad bosses, and they figure I can do it better than my boss or my company did.
So one of the things that and one of the main reasons I wanted to speak to you today was the program that you're going to be supporting and you've already input into, which is Double My Day Rate. One of the key challenges that a lot of people are looking at now, that they're whatever stage of their career, is the market fluctuates. It goes up, it goes down, etc. And I feel that you have a real, very clear message around the power of somebody's network
Yeah.
and how it helps to insulate them and protect them from some of these major vacillations and fluctuations in the market. So you want to tell me more about how you feel people's network and how they can build it up and what they can do to kind of insulate themselves from some of that volatility?
Well, a lot of it goes back to the old adages that we've forgotten because it's been digitized. So, the whole thing is birds of a feather flock together. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And these things are as true as they've always been. But now I think because people have become lazy and people have actually become selfish, um, they don't leverage the network the way that they should. And what I mean by that really is you have to have a networking strategy. It has to be built into your company strategy. So you're always looking to expand your network, meet new people, but not for the purpose of finding new clients, but for the purpose of building relationships. So you can feed into the whole concept of 6 degrees of separation. And also, you should have an ethos of giving. So when you're out there and you've got a system for networking, you're not just there pitching. You're not a hunter gatherer. You're looking to have conversations with real people, ask questions, find out their needs, and make them feel valued. Because what I found is someone who, I consider myself a very highly skilled salesperson. I find that most people don't know how to sell. And because they've either done a course or seen a TikTok video on things that they should do or they shouldn't do, they try to implement that. And if you don't mind, I can give you an example from the last 2 days. Is that all right?
Okay. Yeah,
All
that's
right.
fine.
So I was at a networking event. Well, not a networking event, at a business expo at the Excel in London, and I was exhibiting, and as part of it, Dell, the computer company, was doing speed networking. And I did 2 sessions, each session about 20 people. And what I found is 95% of the people did not know how to network. And it was evidenced by the fact that they'd sit down and just read a script that they had memorized or do the elevator pitch that they practiced. And they made assumptions when they looked at me. So, I'm in my hoodie. So they made assumptions about who I am, what my viewpoints on the world are, what my knowledge of particular things are. And as in a specific case, someone sat down with me and I'd already heard what she was talking about. It was a thing that I actually need. And when we sat down, she just went into a sales pitch. And I had to stop her at a point. I was like, I'm already sold. How do I move to the next step? And that actually put her on the back foot because she was so tied into selling me something. She didn't test close. She didn't ask me what I knew about the thing. She just kept selling it. Even after I gave her a buying signal, she just didn't know what to do with it. And she just kept selling. So I think uh, I think that it's important that we network and expand, but we need to be more pragmatic and more systematic about how we do it, why we do it, and what we're looking to get out of it.
Okay, so in a very practical sense, because there's a lot to unpack there on a number of levels, and I'll try and touch on some of them as we go on here. But one of them is, okay, people are telling me this. I'm being a typical person that I also speak with. I have my full-time job, right? I'm trying to build this business. I've been to a couple seminars. I'm trying to balance time with my family, etc., right? People tell me about this structured strategy on where am I going to go to find out how to do this, and where am I going to get help? Because and that's not going to be one of these watch this long form sales thing for 25 minutes and then for a value of 5995 right now available for 497, all that other rubbish, right?
Yeah.
How do I cut through that? Where do I go? Who can I talk to from your experience, Anthony, to kind of cut through that and somebody to help me through that?
Well, I think it's all there. I don't think you have to go anywhere because it's intuitive. So, thing number one, it's just about being a good person. It's very simple. It's about being a good person, being a person that is interested in other people, being a person that, listens to the fact that we've all heard this thing. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So listen more than you talk, because as someone who's worked in sales and finance and in banking, I know it's better to ask one power question than to just keep talking. Because if I can ask the power question, like in that networking situation, if she had just said, I provide this service, what do you know about that? I could have told her, oh, I know X, Y, Z, and actually I need your service, right? So I think we're always looking for a 6-step guide to or an answer to, when actually the universe, our environment, the way people respond to us, informs us that people like to talk about themselves, people like to be valued. And as the adage goes, people will forget what you say, people will forget what you do, but they'll always remember how you make them feel. And a very good way of making someone feel good and feel valued is just by listening to them. So I don't think we need to go anywhere. I just think we need to do the things that we know we should be doing. But sometimes that's the hard part, isn't it? Doing the things, the easy things are sometimes the hardest things to do.
Now, the next part of that is you said something that we've had a discussion on over the years, right? And that is the woman sat down and she made assumptions about you because you were in a hoodie. Now, we're of a mature age and such like that, where we've been used to seeing people dressed in different ways in different environments. The question here is that what role does the way we present ourselves play in expediting, in speeding up that development of relationship?
That's a good question. I think this is where I embrace being a hypocrite. And what I mean by that is there's two sides to it. And side number one is, as I tell people, dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. So I think there's a lot to be said about making sure that what you're wearing is appropriate for the environment you're in and what you're trying to accomplish. So, I'm me in my authentic, most comfortable state. I'm in a pair of Adidas and a hoodie. That's me, right? I wouldn't wear Adidas and a hoodie to a funeral or to a wedding because that's not appropriate. And then it's not about me. At a funeral and a wedding, it's not about me. It's about respecting, the situation. But then on the flip side, in a networking environment, I'm not there to sell stuff. I'm there to be me, find people that share my values, and see how we can exchange value, right? So if it's the case that someone's going to see me in a hoodie and see me in Adidas and therefore not value the wealth of information that I can share with them, or the wealth of referrals I could give to them once I listen to them and find out what their pain points are and what they need, if they're willing to overlook that based on making assumptions about me on how I'm dressed, then it's not something that would be someone that would value being a part of my tribe or being in my ecosystem. Or the other thing is, it may mean that that's just someone that would be transactional with me. And I'm not a transactional person when it comes to those things. I'm a relational person.
With that said, is because to me there's a balance, because in certain situations you're going to want to take the grains of sand out of the potential clockwork, because a lot of people who, as like you said, they're inexperienced in this, they're going into the situation making a whole bunch of assumptions about based upon what they see, right? Which is to a degree why some of these they end up buying services from these slick looking people who can't necessarily deliver on the end product at the level that they profess.
Yeah.
And not that they can't deliver, it's just at the level they profess. But I'd kind of transfer then that over into like their online presence, because you have one of your businesses, entrepreneurial thing, is Website Casa, right? Where you develop these basic landing pages and websites for people, for individuals, for brands, for organizations. Does that kind of do the same thing as being appropriately dressed? So if you're going into a certain industry or sector or whatever, is part of being appropriately dressed also looking at that online strategy as far as the way they look and present themselves?
Absolutely. I think, though, within that, I don't do websites or branding, any of the things that I do as a service. I no longer do any of them as a standalone service. So within my consultancy, the requirement is that you're going to do the full thing. And the way that I explain it to people is, let's just say someone wants to be a professional athlete, and they have the talent, they have the skill, they have the desire, they're ready to put the work in. And let's just say it's basketball, because that's my thing. And you go to Michael Jordan, you say, look, I want to be a NBA player, have the time, talent, skill, etc. However, I'm going to come to you, Michael Jordan, the GOAT, and I just want to learn how to do free throws. Michael Jordan's going to say, well, listen, you can't be a great player just by focusing on free throws. So what we'll do, we'll go through everything. We'll go through the fundamentals. When we get to free throws, we may not need to spend as much time on that because you may have that natural skill or talent. I approach the way that I work with businesses the same way. If someone's coming to me just for a website and doesn't want to go through mindsets, CRM, sales, and all of the other things that are the core pillars of running an effective data-driven business, then it's not my client. So they can go and spend £2,000, £500, whatever, on a beautiful, fully functioning, very attractive website. And when they don't get any traffic, they can then come to me, and I can then start them through the full program and tell them, well, you need the website, but you also need a content management strategy. You also need to know how you're going to engage with someone once they get through to you. You're also going to need to know and understand that most people aren't going to buy from you the first time. So when you're ready to do the full thing, then we can talk. So yes, the landing page is important, but it's just like me giving you the 4 digits in my PIN. I can give you the 4 digits in the correct order and you can access my money. Or I can give you the 4 digits out of order, and statistically with 4 digits, you'll never be able to access my money, even if you know what all of the digits are. So even if you're doing the right thing in business, if you're not doing them in the right order, quite often you cannot unlock the wealth of leads and capital and money and clients. You won't be able to unlock them if you don't do it in the right order.
So that said, when it comes to networking, right? I'm somebody right now, I'm trying to build my brand, my business, be more visible, get more contracts. And that's the kind of people that I spend a lot of time working with. What is the right order? What is the right order for me to consider? Because we spoke before about strategy and stuff like that. What would you suggest is the right order for me to really start to build my network?
So I'd say that one of the first things you want to do is understand your why. So why are you doing it? What is the actual thing you're trying to get? Are you trying to build a company? Are you trying to build a brand? Are you trying to, just impress people because you look like you're doing well? Because as someone who works in finance, quite frequently the people that look the best on paper and online have probably some of the most challenging cash flow situations, right? So I would say that the first thing, know your why. The second thing, think the whole thing through, think the whole process through. And for me, after turning 50, one of the things that I've learned to do is just be comfortable with me and understand that not everybody's going to like me. Not everyone's going to want to do business with me. And I don't need everyone to do business with me. I need people who are going to value what I do, can afford what I do, and will be able to be advocates of what I do. That way they can help me attract other people similar to them. But I then don't have to get over the hurdle of validating myself because they've been referred by someone who's an advocate of me. So in the networking situation, I would say the first thing before you even enter into it, ask yourself the 3 whys and get to the what we call the epistemology of what you believe, the why you believe what you believe, not just the I'm here to be a hunter gatherer and get clients.
Now, what role does community, because there's a lot of groups out there who say that we are networking groups, building community and such like that. What are some of the features, characteristics that you think people need to look for in order to identify the right community for them?
I think to identify the right community, just go to all of them. So I would start with that. Just go to all of them. I'm a member of several paid networking organizations and some free networking organizations. I'd say, so for example, BNI, the biggest networking organization on the planet. What I love about BNI is it's relatively expensive to be a member. It's very structured. It has KPIs. You're measured against these KPIs, and if you don't meet them, there's a conversation, etc. Now, the structure is great for people who need that structure, but the downside to BNI is the structure makes it a little bit restrictive. So if you are a plumber or a contractor and you're a solo person, if you have a $20,000 or £20,000 contract on Wednesday at 7 a.m. when your BNI meeting's supposed to take place, it's a no-brainer. You're not going to your BNI meeting. So I find that it's not great for people like that, right? So you need to explore all of them, find the one that matches your requirements and your business type, your availability, but not just the stuff that feels good, the ones that are actually going to stretch you. I'd say that's one thing. And the other thing is, and this is something that's really important to me, just find the people that share your values. Because I don't want to be a part of an organization where the full emphasis is on just growth and bringing people in, and it's not really actually nurturing the businesses that are already there and helping them thrive not only in their business but in their family life, in their relationships, in their personal growth. So find one that matches your needs and explore and understand why you're joining it.
And about how long, because a number of these things, like you can do it on a trial basis, in your experience, about how long, because I don't think you always hit it off the first time you go, kind of thing. How long do you think people should maybe just set themselves as a goal? I'm going to go for this amount of time to find out if this is working for me.
Until it's not free anymore. So either until you decide or until it's not free anymore. Because, one thing when you're starting a business, everybody is interested in getting money from you, and everybody's selling themselves as a solution to problems that they've never even asked you if you have. Because again, they've made assumptions because their structure is not built on you being successful. Their structure is built on attracting new members. So go. Most of the time, you'll get a feel for what it's like in it from the first meeting, right? But even if you're not certain from the onset of the meeting, just keep going as long as you can. With BNI, just visit different chapters, because for the example of BNI, although it's super structured, each chapter can kind of have a different feel, a different vibe, because they have a different chapter president. So go whilst it's free, but if you realize immediately that these are the type of people that you want to be around, then get more involved. And then if there's a financial investment, make that financial investment, and then start going and adding value. Don't just jump in there, to just see how much business you can get out of it. Because if it's the right organization, it will happen organically.
All right, so we're right at the end right here. Is there anything else that you'd really want to make sure that people know, and maybe about getting in touch with you, or some other resources that you have to share that you'd like to let them know about?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. So it's Anthony Lindsay with an A, Lindsay, Anthony Lindsay. But as I said, the information is out there. I'm not going to be able to tell you anything that you can't find for free. I would just say be open-minded, be a lifelong learner. And sometimes you have to do the counterintuitive thing, which is go to network, not to get business, but to see who you can connect the people that you meet with people you already know and help them get business. And I think that can be a formula for success. But if you do need to contact me, you can find me on LinkedIn.
All right. Thank you. And appreciate you taking the time out to meet with us and go i2i.
Thank you for having me.
On this episode of the i2i Forum podcast, we're meeting with Anthony Lindsay, entrepreneur, employee, father, mentor. He's also an expert at networking. In this episode, we're going to find out more about how to evaluate networking groups, how to build a powerful networking presence, both online and offline, and much more. So let's go eye to eye with Anthony Lindsay.